Today, we're diving into a topic that plagues so many KA owners, and that is lifter tick. Yep, that annoying noise that can drive you absolutely insane. But don't worry, because we're tackling this head on. Don't want to catch it on fire. I guess depending, if this thing is still ticking, then I might just let it keep running. Who knows? What is up, you guys? We are back at it. I got the clearances wrote down on intake and exhaust. It's not anywhere close to where I thought it was going to be. I do have 2 on the exhaust and 2 on the intake that they need to be switched. Now we just got to figure out if I swap those buckets from that intake side to the exhaust side, if I can get rid of the lifter tick, which in this case, obviously you guys know, it's a valve bucket. It's not lifters. The KA24DE does not have rocker arms. The way to oscillate the valve is by using those buckets. But we'll jump right into it. Make sure that it's at top dead center so I don't throw this thing out of whack on timing. Before we dive into the nitty gritty, let's talk about our tools and parts. Laid out here, you can see the feeler gauges, my torque wrenches, socket, ratchet. This is just to make it a little bit quicker. Usually it would just be this. To get your cam buckets out, you'll need a magnet to get those out. Hopefully they slide out easy for you. Let's talk about what we got. 2 different torque wrenches. This is a Newton meter inch-pounds torque wrench, and then this is a foot-pounds torque wrench. You'll use this one for your cam sprocket gears, and then you'll use this one for the cam cap bolts. You can go between 80 inch-pounds and 104 inch-pounds on those. Sockets, obviously you'll need to get the cam caps off, the valve cover bolts, all that stuff. This is your holy grail tool here, the feeler gauge. This right here is how you're gonna adjust your valve lash. Like you'll see later on in the video, the recommended spec on the KA24DE valve lash, cold on the intake is 13 to 15 thousandths, and then cold on the exhaust is 14 to 16 thousandths. So these will come in very handy setting your lash. So on the KA, your intake lobe to valve bucket clearance is supposed to be 12 thousandths to 15 thousandths. Exhaust is supposed to be 13 thousandths to 16 thousandths. The middle here on cylinder 3, they are at 20 thousandths, I believe is what I had. Every single one of the exhaust is out of spec. These 2 fronts are the worst. So these ones, I couldn't even get my thinnest feeler gauge to go in between. I think what I'm going to try to do, because right now I don't have shims, I'll have to order a different set of them or go to the R35 buckets. But what I'm going to try to do is take these 2 buckets and swap them with those 2, because then it'll bring this clearance a little bit closer to where I need it to be, and it'll pull this one away, so it'll loosen it up. I also do have the bolt to fix this cam cap, and I'm gonna make sure that I clean out the threads, get it as dry as I can, because I know there's oil in there. I don't want to risk cracking or messing anything up with that, so I'm gonna clean that out. What I have to start with on this is getting these cams off, the cam gears, make sure I have it at top dead center, which it is not right now, and then we will start on the process of switching those valve buckets or cam buckets, whatever you want to call them. They're not lifters. I mean, you can consider it lifters because it is a lifter tick. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys this because I couldn't find a really good example of it or a good picture image. There's probably a couple videos, but the S13 and S14 heads are different. Not only do the valve cover bolts, not only are they different, but also the cam caps. The S13 does not have this rear cam cap. The S14 does. So when you're removing the bolts, there is a sequence. You don't want to do it wrong. If you do it wrong, you risk either warping or cracking the camshaft, which you don't want to do. Okay, so it's 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You always want to end right here. I was remembering that now. Your starting point is going to be here because this is where you'll probably see the most stress. So I've already started here. Make sure those are loose. 12, 10, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So now that takes any stress that it could have had on it and it removes it. So now you just go ahead, now that you've gotten them loosened, just go ahead and get them all. So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. That's your tightest spot right there. You always want to end there because then it takes away the possibility of warping or cracking the camshaft. But once I get this one out, I'll go ahead and swap the buckets. So I know that these two were at 20 thousandths. These two you couldn't even fit a hair in between. So I'm just going to swap those two, reassemble it, and see what we got. Alright, I'm not too sure how much of the footage we just got there. My other GoPro mysteriously died on me. Don't know how. Pretty much where I'm at right now, I've gotten all the cam caps off. I pulled both cams out. And now what I'm going to do is swap those buckets. I want to look at them and inspect them and see exactly what we're looking at. They're just out of the spec more than what I would want to see. Hopefully I can get more footage for you guys because I don't know exactly what happened with the other GoPro, but get these cam buckets out and then we'll inspect them and see what we got going on. Alright, and these two fronts. Yeah, they got the normal wear on them. So this one we put here. Hopefully moving these around will get rid of that tick. That one in. This one put it back. Alright, we'll see what that does. Let's get everything back together. Okay, so you start at 17 inch-pounds and then you go to 80 to 104 inch-pounds, which I'm doing 80. I don't want to take a chance and possibly strip out another bolt. So you start in sequence. So this is going to be the fun part. I dread doing this part every single time, but getting the cam gears back on. Obviously there's better ways to do this, but this is the quick way. You zip tie it so it can't move from where it sat before you took them off, and then you gotta slide them back in and make sure that they go onto the keyway. There's a keyway inside of these, which is kind of hard to see in this position, but there's a keyway that goes over this on both sides. I made sure that I put them back in where top dead center is. When I put it all together the first time, I had to wiggle this one a little bit to get it to sit on correctly, the cam gear. So we'll see if I can get it without doing that, but if I have to, then that's just what it is. Alright, so now once you got that all back into place, now we can tighten down the cam sprocket bolts, which those are 120 to 130 foot-pounds. We'll go ahead and get that done now. Double check timing. You should be good from there. Get the valve cover back on. We'll give it its first fire up. There's oil all over the place. I probably won't let it run too long because I don't, obviously oil and heat will create a fire. I don't want that to happen. I do want to at least see if switching out those 2 buckets or 4 buckets, 2 from each side, I want to see if that minimized our sound and if we're going in the right direction. Alright, so it's reassembled. It's to the point where I can start it and see if switching those cam buckets has made the difference that we needed. I'll go ahead, get this thing primed. There is oil all over the place, so I'm not going to let it run too long. Don't want to catch it on fire. I guess depending if this thing is still ticking and doing its thing, then I might just let it keep running. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see where the state of mind's at once I fire it up. Keep in mind we are on E85 and I haven't started this in a couple weeks. I got that 50 amp circuit breaker, or maybe 200 amp, I can't remember, but that circuit breaker does not like to be loaded for a long time. Let's see. Hey now, that's better than I thought it was going to be, I'm not going to lie. Usually it takes me about 6-7 tries to get it to start to wind up. Close, so close. are hearing is an exhaust leak. That could be one way to get rid of all of the smoke. Wow, that's a lot of smoke coming out of the tailpipe too. Sheesh. Turn on this exhaust fan. Sheesh. The turbo wasn't spinning. Look at this though. There you have it. We tackled the lifter tick and we got the valve lash sorted with those BC cams and the stock valve buckets. Remember, this type of maintenance is crucial to making sure your KA24DE engine is running strong. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more car tips and tricks. Thanks for watching, keep it boosted, and have a good day.